you've been sentenced to die, and at some point, although, if you're brand new on the road, it won't be soon, but somewhere in the future, if nothing happens, you're going to see a white shirt, which is a captain, stand in front of your cell door and tell you to, strip so they can make sure you ain't got no weapons, and then handcuff you, and they take you down to the captain's office, and they had a plane they would fly in from Tallahassee. Instead of just faxing it or sending it by email or something, they would literally fly a black bordered death warrant to the prison, and they got a landing strip outside, and they would read the black bordered death warrant to the condemned man and tell him your execution date is set for so and so, and then they move him over to Q wing. And I believe it's the last week, a guard sits outside the cell 24 hours a day. So literally the man has no privacy, the last week of his life. And they do that because they don't want him killing himself before they can kill him. At that time, guys were allowed to have tobacco products and lighters, but they wouldn't give the condemned guy the lighter thinking he'd try to set himself on fire. They would light the cigarette for him and hand it into the cell. It's open bar cells. And when it's time to take him to the chamber, they got a long steel pole that's specially made to where it's got a set of handcuffs and metal claws on the end of it, to where if the guy tries to resist at any point, it's kind of like something you would push in front of a rabid dog, to make sure it couldn't get close to you.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But if he puts his hands in front of him, and if he tries to start resisting it at all, the claws will literally dig down into his wrists, and if necessary, they'll cut all the way through to bring him to his knees. And they take him into the chamber, they strap him down, and a curtain rolls up, and there's the witnesses looking from a room, and they ask him if he has any final words to say. Well, the reason they made it law that you had to give the man something final to say and people had to see he was still alive is because the warden, Briarton, of FSP murdered Spinkelink before he ever went to the chair. And I want to say 79, because Spinkelink was all the time filing lawsuits against him. So he broke Spinkelink's neck in the cell, and when they lifted the curtain up on his execution, they threw the switch at the same time. In other words, the witnesses never got to see whether he was already dead. And one of his eyes rolled out of his head onto the floor.
Jesus Christ.
Some of the reporters said that was the most gruesome thing they'd ever seen. They said they would never come to another execution. They did a big investigation of it, but the Department of Corrections, being what it is and was, instead of punishing him, they promoted him to Inspector General and sent him to Tallahassee at Department of Corrections headquarters, where he was in charge of all prison investigations from then on.